Dr. Joe DeMarco, chiropractor and owner of OcraMed Health. Important video for you today because we're going to go over shoulder injury prevention, one of the most common types of injuries that I see in my office. People are always injuring their shoulders. So we're going to break up today's video into two parts. The first part is we're going to go over how to modify some of your shoulder exercises to help prevent shoulder injuries in the gym. And then the second part of the video, we're going to go over some techniques to help increase shoulder range of motion, okay? First off, if you haven't done so already, take a moment right now, subscribe to my channel, OcraMed Health, click that little bell notification. It notifies you every time I upload a new video. At the end of today's video, if you found the information helpful, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Okay, so I love working on shoulder injuries. When patients come in with shoulder injuries, I just find the shoulder joint an amazing joint of the body because of all the mobility that we have with the shoulders. However, all that mobility comes at a price, and the price is that it makes the shoulders more susceptible to injuries, okay? So what I want to do, as I mentioned, we're going to break this video up into two parts. I want to talk a little bit about some modifications you can make right now, today, going to the gym to prevent shoulder injuries, and then we're going to get into how to increase mobility. But right now you might have some decreased mobility. You're going to the gym today. What can we change right now to help you prevent injuries? Now, the reason we injure our shoulders a lot of times in the gym is because we're performing exercises that require full shoulder range of motion, but we don't have it, and we perform the exercises anyway. And this is really geared towards the over 40 crowd particularly, because once you hit that 35, 40, 45 age, it's not uncommon to start losing shoulder mobility. We have some old injuries, we have some arthritic changes, and we start losing some of that ability to, in particular, to get the arms overhead. We see a lot of people, they just can't quite get the arm, like where the arm is right next to the head. They just can't quite get that mobility, they start losing mobility, and that can run into a lot of problems, in particular on exercises such as shoulder presses, which is a great shoulder exercise, and that's what we're going to kind of focus in on today, how to make some modifications, because since the shoulder press is such a common exercise, it's such a great shoulder exercise, I want you to be able to keep working your shoulder presses, but we may need to make some modifications to prevent injury. So let's go through some modifications, just kind of step by step what we can do for the shoulder press. So let's start off by talking about a shoulder press that requires probably the most full range of motion that you're going to require. And we'll be doing a shoulder press with a barbell. Now, the reason people run into problems doing a shoulder press, and they can run into shoulder injuries when they're using a barbell, is if, like I mentioned, if you can only get your arm up this high, and I don't care whether it's here, here, or even here, slightly angled, if you can't get that arm completely overhead, and now you're grabbing a barbell and you're pressing up, look at the angle, look at the weight of the bar is way in front of me, and I can't do anything about it because I can't get my arm back into position. Now, the one thing we don't want to do on this exercise is to make up for that lack of mobility by arching the back. So I got the bar back, I got the bar now straighter, but look at where my back is. So we don't want to make the modification in the lower back. Keep that lower back nice and straight, nice and tight. The first modification we can make, and this is for those of you that might have just a slight decrease in shoulder motion. Maybe you're almost there, but you just can't quite get the arm all the way back. The first modification I would recommend is just bring your grip out maybe half an inch or 3/4 of an inch out on each side. And a lot of times by just simply going from, say, this position to this position, you'll notice you'll be able to get the bar straight overhead and make the press without having any angle in there, okay? So that's modification number one, is if you just have a slight loss of motion, just use a slightly wider grip. Now, if you make your grip wider, and no matter how wide you're going, obviously you can only go, we only want to go out a little bit, but even when you're out here and you still can't get that bar overhead, I really would not be performing any barbell shoulder presses at this time until you watch part 2 of this video and you work on your mobility. But for now, if making the grip a little wider does not help that straight overhead press, skip the barbell presses for now and move to dumbbells. And I just got a light pair of dumbbells here. Dumbbell shoulder presses are a great shoulder exercise. I think they're just as good as doing dumbbell shoulder presses, just as good as doing barbell shoulder presses. And it gives us a little better range of motion. So if you can't do it with the barbell, pick up a pair of dumbbells. Now, I like to do these dumbbell shoulder presses, especially if you're dealing with some lack of shoulder mobility. I like to do them nice and slow and controlled and for a good range of motion. And so I'll use this type of a technique where I'll hold them here, and then when I go to press, I bring the arms out in this direction. And a lot of people call these an Arnold press. And what it'll do is it allows you to get those shoulders back so that you can get a better range of motion on your shoulders. So what you do is from here, bring it out like that as you start to come up. Kind of think of pulling those elbows back. And so as you come up to press, you can press straight overhead without any angle, okay? So the motion that we want to get is from here, pull the elbows out. So now you're in that position, you get the elbows out, and now as you press up, you're going to be able to press so that the arm is straight and not having that angle that we end up with the barbell. So that's the next step, or the next modification. Grab a pair of dumbbells and do like an Arnold press with the dumbbells. Now, again, lack of range of motion. Some of you out there have a lot of restriction in the shoulders. You may go to do this shoulder press like this, and you still can't get the dumbbells straight overhead, and you're setting yourself up for injury. If you're pressing those dumbbells and you still have that angle, that's not good. So my next suggestion would be is do single arms, either alternating dumbbell presses or one at a time. And this allows us to, by doing, I'm just going to show you with one dumbbell, by doing it with a single arm, you can even get even more mobility out of the motion. So again, it's like a one arm Arnold press. Go from here, bring that elbow out and press overhead, and you can get, it'll open up the chest a little bit more, and you can kind of make up for some of that lack of motion by doing it with a single arm. So do some single arm presses, or as I mentioned, grab both and just do some alternating dumbbell presses like that. Nice, slow and controlled, and get that full range of motion. And so, you know, we are, by doing it single arm, I mean, yeah, we're kind of, you know, using some other, you know, little mobility in some different parts of the body. But the key is that we're getting that dumbbell straight overhead, and we're not going to have our shoulder set up for a shoulder injury. So it's a good technique to use until we can improve the mobility of the shoulders with the techniques we're going to go over right now. Okay, the first technique we're going to go over has to do with increasing mobility in our upper thoracic spine. As we mentioned earlier about losing shoulder mobility, especially after the age of 40 because of arthritic changes. The upper thoracic spine is a part of the body where we lose mobility as we get older, and that loss of mobility in that thoracic spine is going to affect our ability to press overhead. So we want to work on mobility. So I'm going to show you some techniques on increasing some thoracic mobility. Grab a couple massage balls. These are Tai Chi Max balls from OcraMed Health. I'm going to use 2 of them. I'm going to put one on each side of the spine. We're going to do some work on some shoulder mobility right here. I mean, on some thoracic mobility. So I'm going to put the balls on the ground, and I'm going to place one on each side of my spine, okay? So start up in the very top of the thoracic spine, T1, we call T1, T2 area. Have the knees bent, have the back flat on the ground, and we're going to use 2 techniques as we do this. So first technique is you're going to clasp your hands behind your head, hold your head up, support your head, and let the elbows kind of relax down, and feel those balls, the Tai Chi balls, kind of press into the upper back area. And from here, we're going to hold this 10 to 15 seconds where we're just going to breathe deeply and just relax. After 10 to 15 seconds from here, what I want you to do is let your arms extend, let your head touch the floor, and try to stretch the arms all the way back just like that. And again, breathe deeply for 10 to 15 seconds. After you do that, bring your hands back here, roll up on the balls about 1 inch, so you go down to maybe the T2, T3 level. So we're going 1 level at a time. And from here, again, 10 to 15 seconds with the arms in this position, supporting the head. Then let the head touch the floor and stretch back and relax and breathe deeply for 10 to 15 seconds. And just continue to repeat. Every time you come back, go down another inch or so you're at the next level. 10 to 15 seconds, breathe deeply. And 10 to 15 seconds, breathe deeply. And so I would go down to about the mid-thoracic spine on that technique. So you start at the T1, T2 level and work, probably 4, maybe 5 different increments down to around T6, T7, which is kind of in between the shoulder blade area. And that'll help the mobility in the thoracic spine. And after you do that, I want you to go back to position 1 up in the upper thoracic and you can grab a plate like I have here. You can grab a light dumbbell, but put the balls back in position here. Put the head on the ground, and what I want you to do is bring the plate all the way back, and then I just kind of stretch the shoulders back now a little further because I have the weight holding my arms down. And here I'm going to hang out for about 30 seconds, just breathing deeply. And after 30 seconds or so, relax for a second, roll down a little bit more, like another inch, get to the next level. And again, use that weight to kind of pin those arms back and get a nice stretch as you're doing it, just like that, okay? And hold that for 30 seconds as you're breathing. And again, you're going to make 4 or 5 incremental changes as you go lower and lower, and just let the weight stretch out the shoulders. If the weight is, doesn't feel comfortable right now, just use technique, the first part of that technique, and work up to using some weight. The weight's a little more intense, but it's a great technique for increasing thoracic mobility and shoulder mobility. Okay, next up, this is a great stretch. It's a common stretch done and performed in yoga. What I want you to do is have the hands out in front, the legs straight, and your feet flat on the floor, your heels on the floor. And from this position, and you can start, whatever you feel comfortable. If you want to start way out here, but a little closer. And from this position, what I want you to do is try to really open up those shoulder joints, put the head down, and really try to open up the shoulders. And once you get to the position where you have a good stretch, hold it for 30 seconds of deep breathing. After 30 seconds, come back, try to come in a little closer with the hands. And again, head down, open those shoulders up, and hold for 30 seconds. And do several changes of the hand placement where you come in a little closer and closer each time. So do it a few times, and each time you hold the position, make sure you really concentrate on open up that shoulder angle, and each time hold it for 30 seconds. Okay, and finally, here's one of my favorite shoulder stretches I do every day, actually, pretty much before I work out. All you need is like a broomstick or a piece of PVC piping and a small pad like this. You can use a sweatshirt, but just put something so that it gives you a little pad. I bring this behind my head like that. And then what I do is I bring the arms out to my side behind the broom. I don't grip the bar like this because a lot of times if you're gripping it, what happens is you have a tendency to roll the wrist back. So what I like to do is keep my palms open and put the bar right at kind of put the bar right at the bottom of the hand, so that we're in this position like that. Now from here, what I do is I let my head come forward so it's comfortable at first like this, and then I use my head nice and easy to bring my head up and use that to just push back on my hands, which is going to open up my shoulders. And just from this position, once I've pushed back, I feel a nice stretch in my shoulders. That's where I'm going to hold it for 30 seconds, and I'll do my deep breathing. And after that, I'll relax, and I'll come back up again, push the head back, and hold it for 30 seconds. Now, when you get comfortable with this stretch and it feels pretty good, and you're standing up like this, another technique you can use is like a contract, relax technique, where from this position, I bring it up. Then I think of actually pressing my hands against the broomstick, and I'll hold a contraction for 10 seconds as I inhale. So I'll inhale, press my hands against the broomstick, press for 10 as I'm holding my breath. Then I'll let my breath out, and I'll bring the head back further and get a deeper stretch on my shoulders. So I do the press forward on the inhale. When I exhale, I bring the head back and I get that deeper stretch. So you can use a contract, relax technique once you get used to that stretch in general. So just be careful if you haven't done it before. I know some people might say, well, it's going to hurt your neck. You take it easy, just go nice and easy. Only put some light pressure. really concentrate on opening up. You should feel the stretch through the shoulders. It works the pec area, the front of the shoulder, and then it works external rotation of the shoulder. It's a great overall stretch. Whenever I do it, like I just did it, just demonstrating now, the shoulders already feel like a nice release. A lot of blood flow gets in there. So just be careful, using your head for the pressure. It's absolutely fine. I've never been injured on that stretch. It's a great stretch to perform. So give it a try. Okay, I hope you found today's information helpful. If you go into the gym today, tomorrow, the next day, and you're doing shoulders, use some of those modifications until you increase your shoulder mobility with the techniques that we showed on the second half of today's video, okay? When you have a chance, visit my website, www.OcraMedHealth.com. We have a full line of fast release products. Everything is in stock, including those Tai Chi Max balls that we used on today's video. Also, my book, A Fitness Carol, you'll find that when you go on the website too, so check that out. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel, OcraMed Health on YouTube. Questions about exercises or injuries, just leave me a comment in the comment section down below. I do the best I can to get back to everybody. And don't forget, OcraMed Health is here to keep you fit forever.